On to business news now with Stephen Carroll. Stephen, you are starting in the United States where there are hopes of avoiding that government default in 11 days' time.
Senate Republicans say they will support a short-term extension of the country's borrowing limit to resolve the political standoff over the issue. The White House says that no formal offer has yet been made, but a procedural vote that was set for the Senate on Wednesday has been postponed. Without raising the debt ceiling, America could default on its debts on October 18th. Catherine Viette has the story.
With time running out to prevent a default, Senate Republicans are offering a temporary deal. In a statement, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said his party would allow Democrats to pass an extension of the federal debt ceiling into December using normal procedures. Republicans, unhappy over new proposed spending legislation, have been insisting that Democrats pass the bill on their own through a process called reconciliation, an option Democrats have dismissed as too risky and time-consuming. The White House says it's yet to receive a formal offer.
Scant details that have been reported present more complicated, more difficult options than the one that is quite obvious in the president's view and is in front of the faces of every member up on the Hill. We could get this done today. We don't need to kick the can. We don't need to go through a cumbersome process that every day brings additional risks.
The U.S. has until October 18th to come up with a solution. That's when Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the government will run out of money.
Let me be clear. This would be a catastrophic outcome, and America would default for the first time in history.
Republicans and Democrats have been at loggerheads for weeks over how best to raise the federal borrowing limit, with Republicans refusing to support a Democratic bill already passed by the House. Analysts say a default could trigger a massive recession that would have far-reaching consequences beyond the U.S., upending global financial markets and putting millions of people out of work.
Business leaders, meanwhile, have been warning that any delay to finding a fix to this problem will cause damage. President Biden and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen discussed the issue with CEOs at the White House on Wednesday. The boss of the bank Citigroup warning that the US was playing with fire by brushing this close to the debt ceiling.
We need to resolve this issue very quickly. Every day of delay right now comes at an increasing price, as we've begun to see in the markets already starting last Friday. America simply cannot default on the debt because the US Treasury market is the bedrock of our financial system domestically and globally.
Stephen, how is all of this going down on the markets?
The prospect of avoiding that cliff edge moment in the United States is giving investors a bit of relief in trading today. We've got gains across London, Paris and Frankfurt at the open. Shares in utility companies actually leading the gains in Europe today amid that spike in energy prices. We had gains across the main Asian markets earlier as well. Property shares in Hong Kong are helping to boost the Hang Seng. That's after the announcement of a new development by CEO Carrie Lam that will see extra work for them as they're building many extra housing units.
And Stephen, there's some potentially good news finally about those soaring energy prices in Europe.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has indicated he could be willing to increase supplies of natural gas to Europe. This, as increased demand had sent energy prices skyrocketing to record highs. Putin says a potential increase in supply would need to be done, quote, carefully, while his deputy prime minister says that speedier approval of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline would be one way to achieve this. The Russian president says this crisis was exacerbated by decisions made by the European Union.
We talked to the European Commission's previous lineup, and all its activity was aimed at phasing out so-called long-term contracts. It was aimed at transitioning to spot gas trade. And as it turned out, it's now obvious that this practice is a mistake.
Well, there's maybe also some good news here in France as things are looking up on the job market.
France's unemployment rate is set to fall to its lowest level in 13 years by the end of 2021. The National Statistics Office says it expects the jobless rate to fall to 7.6%. That's well below the 8.5% level seen before the pandemic struck.
And finally from you, Stephen, a potentially disastrous data breach from the live streaming website Twitch.
The leak claims to include source code, internal security tools, and details of how much creators are earning on the streaming platform. Twitch has confirmed the security breach, but says that no logins or credit card details were exposed. According to reports from the Video Games Chronicle, the leaked data includes details of multi-million-dollar payments to popular streamers on the site. Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, has more than 30 million average daily visitors. It's popular with video game players and musicians as well.
Glad to say I don't have a Twitch account today.
Me nor.
Thank you, Stephen Carroll, for that business update.